Hello, sports fans, and welcome to our new program, Tuesdays on the Edge, our version of Overreaction Monday, but better. I'm Rowdy. As always, joining me are my co-hosts, the fantastic Big Boy and the always interesting Coop. How are we doing, boys?
Good, man. Good.
Pretty good. I'm excited to talk what I'm about to talk about. I've been waiting for a while.
Here we go.
Glad to be.
I've been waiting.
We hope y'all enjoyed last week's episode. If you missed Friday's episode of the Sports Roundtable Trio Edition, tune into that. We got a lot of new fans, boys. We got a lot. We're gonna have to start coming up with a name for all our new fans. But over here to the left, or I guess the right of Big Boy, is our socials on our Instagram and Twitter. So make sure y'all follow those while y'all watch this. But the website is live as well as the Spotify. So we appreciate it however you choose to listen. But make sure you give those a follow while y'all watch.
Listen, guys, I have been in the car for 7 hours dying to talk about this. Okay. I think we all know where I'm going. Mr. Texas Tech boy, Patrick Mahomes. Okay, y'all know what the play I'm already going to talk about. Okay. Listen, the way he acted after that was ridiculous. Like, cry me a river, Patty. Oh, I make $52 million a year. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Get out of here with that. Listen, notice him and Andy aren't saying that it wasn't a penalty because they said it was offensive offsides, right? And the referees have made it a point, okay? Listen, the past 2 years, this call has been made twice. This year, this call has been made 11 times. So they're making it an emphasis on them calling, okay? So notice they're not saying, oh, it's not a penalty. They're saying, oh, you can't make a ticky-tack call in that situation. Well, I guess they don't know what time is, guys. They called the penalty before the big play even happened. I can't take anything away from Travis Kelce in the play. Can't do it. It was a great play. I mean, hands down, one of the best plays I've ever seen, okay? But guess what? It was called before the play even happened. So, listen, I learned how to line up in a football game and pop Warner. Come on. Like, really?
But, okay, I get what you're saying. But first of all, he backtracked today. He came out and kind of, apologized.
Right.
Number two, that wasn't that play, though. That was Patrick saying, my freaking receivers aren't good.
They suck.
I'm frustrated. They might not make the playoffs. We're going to see what happens the rest of the year, but it's not like they're just in control. And he is not used to losing.
Let Russ cook, right?
He's the ultimate competitor, dude. And so I get what you're saying. It was over the top. Like, what are you gonna do if you do get to the ref? You gonna knock him out? You gonna punch him? No. I mean, that was over. But that was a culmination of when Tony missed the pass that would have won him the game. All this stuff that's happening. The only good receiver he has is Kelce. And Kelce had to pull some backyard football stuff to get that, and so I get what you're saying, but I don't like Mahomes. But I respect him as that, and I don't.
I totally understand.
He's a competitor.
I'm not a fan of him, but you can't argue with that. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the past couple of years. Okay, you can't argue with that. But I will say,
and he's under the second best coach or third, top head coach. Period.
I will say this: they say you can't call a ticky-tack call there, but isn't that how they won the Super Bowl last year? Off of a ticky-tack call?
Yeah.
In that situation, right?
I mean,
so
they have the thing where, and I heard this today, I think it was on McAfee, but like a lot of times the receiver just gets used to looking and puts his hand out. Rodgers was talking about it.
You learned that in middle school, by the way.
But at the same time, do you always really check until it just becomes that instinct and it's just normal because it is never called. And he was definitely offsides. I mean, And I got a problem with the way these tackles are jumping before the play. I think that's I don't get it. Like they say it's legal, but some of them are jumping way before it's getting to be that point. Like, well, how much time are you going to give them to get that extra step back?
Right.
You know,
I saw a video from, I guess it was a fan, and it was literally right in direction of the ball. And you could see, like, whenever he wasn't lined up yet, but he was almost lined up, and he looks over at the ref and turns away real quick. When he turns, he looks at the ball, and he can obviously see he's in front of the ball. And so I don't know how he didn't move on that, but even if they say whatever that he wasn't offsides, then look where that right tackle is. Look how far off the ball that dude is.
And the referee like moves to the left during that. And again, he did throw the flag. You know, it wasn't like he threw it afterwards. He threw it right at the time. So the ref didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah.
Flag was already thrown.
Yeah.
But I get it, man. He overreacted, but that was just being upset that they are not rolling like he's used to rolling. He's a hell of a competitor, and you know so. But again, what are you going to do if you get to the ref? You gonna knock him out, Pat? You know, I mean, like that would be crazy, you know. So
yeah, I mean it's. I mean, we've talked about it the past couple of weeks. I mean, their defense is still. I mean, they're playing lights out, man. I mean, their defense is still playing. It's probably still the best defense that Pat's had. They just can't score 21 points, man. I mean, we know what the problems are on their offense, but we'll get back to some NFL action. There was a lot of stuff that happened, but sticking over to the little college topics we do have for this week on Tuesday on the Edge is, of course, it's still the A&M Aggies. I don't know if y'all saw, but the intern head coach, obviously Elijah Robinson, declines A&M's offer to be the top paid position coach on the D-line. So they didn't offer him the defensive coordinator job. He declines it, takes the Syracuse defensive coordinator job, his hometown kind of best friend's the head coach. He's still coaching the bowl game, okay? They're still having him coach the bowl game. But while this is happening, he is actively recruiting their commits to go to Syracuse. Not only have two of the wide receivers decommitted and taking official visits to Syracuse now, their 5-star defensive tackle, Dominic McKinley, who's the only reason they're saying was ever committed to A&M was because of him, is now mulling to visit Syracuse and is now waiting to sign until February now instead of December 20th. So
is he coming to UT to visit though?
Yeah, it's going to be all the big dogs. I mean, besides, you're going to have UT, OU, Ohio State, all those dudes, and then obviously Syracuse now. But I just don't know how you let that man still coach your bowl game. Like,
no,
I just don't. No. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know how you do it. Like,
and I'm sorry, Syracuse. I mean, hey, when Donovan McNabb was there, they were rolling. But if you have an opportunity to go to a Georgia or Florida, you know, something like that over Syracuse, Texas, it'd be hard for me to go to Syracuse, you know, and I don't know. I don't he that's crazy though. He's just poaching them.
Just poaching, man. Just straight up poaching. It's a brutal world out there in the NCAA. I would not want to be a head coach of any team right now with transfer portal right in the prime, signing day in 10 days. Doing all these in-home visits. I mean, you're supposed to be
has Evan not put himself in the portal yet, has he?
No. They're saying a lot of dudes are waiting until after they play their bowl game, which obviously, for some dudes, it makes sense, right? Go get more film if you know you're going to play in your bowl game. But some of those top dudes, I don't know why you're waiting. Like, I really don't understand.
But who's not going to make room for him? You know, it's not like he's one of those guys that they'll find you a scholarship if you say, yeah, I want to go to your school, you know.
No doubt. Coop, we lost your camera. But
I had to go do something real quick.
While we're recording this, I just got a text from our guest from last week, Coach Fowler, and he talks A&M. They just hired a new strength and conditioning coordinator, and he says huge hire. It's the old Tommy Moffitt from LSU. That was LSU's old one. So they're big on that hire over there. I told him I'd make sure and mention something.
That's the weird thing about the guys who have left A&M in my eyes is it's defensive guys that you would think like their coach could be able to keep everything together on the defensive side. I was thinking more offensive commits might leave, but
and that's what's been crazy is like they still haven't hired a DC, man.
yeah.
Like you figured that would have been the first thing he hadn't nailed down. And apparently they tried to get the Florida State dude and he turned him down, was kind of the word on the street the last couple of days. So I don't know.
And why didn't they hire the guy that's going to Syracuse now?
Exactly. Instead,
maybe they have beef,
Well, and especially now, like, I mean, he's doing that. He's probably pissed off that you just offered him props, whatever highest paid assistant position coach job, but not the defensive coordinator job. I mean,
what does he coach? The D line?
Yeah.
Didn't their other D line coach pass away?
Yep.
Yeah, the original.
So they don't have like any staff on the defensive side over there right now. So
yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, obviously they hired the K-State offense coordinator last week. We talked about it, but I mean, we'll see. I guess it makes sense if I don't know who else they would have them coach the bowl game, but it should not definitely be him. But with that being said, like we mentioned, the transfer portal picking up on the side of UT's things, UT side of things, nothing too crazy from departures from the team as of now. Obviously, Jalen Catalon, probably the biggest one, you could say. Isaiah Naylor, Casey Kane, all dudes who really didn't play too meaningful snaps this year. But as it's looking coming in, no commits yet. A lot of dudes close. They're saying they're really going to have their fair share to pick from, boys. They're saying they're liking the edge from UTSA. Trey Moore, I think he had like 16 sacks this year, something crazy. They're liking UT's chances there. He's going to visit Ohio State, though, so you never know up there. But, I mean, they seem like they have their own problems. And then Houston wide receiver Matthew Golden, which torched UT in that game this past year. UT finished second in that recruiting race to Houston, officially entered the portal today, and everyone's already crystal balling him to UT. So that looks like it could probably be the first commit. And it comes to
he's more
position.
like a worthy size guy, right? He's 6 foot 190 or something.
Yeah, yep.
He's bigger than worthy size was.
Yeah, and obviously be it instant impact, good threat to help the wide receiver room, but also on the return game. If he commits, they're penciling him in as the punt returner and main kickoff returner with Keelan leaving and Worthy leaving. So that's probably where it's the biggest.
Just replacing Worthy, huh?
What about Cook?
Yeah, I mean, Cook's going to get his fair share. I just don't like on punt return, it'll probably be Golden just because he's done it. But, I mean, you probably have Cook and Golden back there on kick return next year if he does end up committing. So that's big, obviously.
I want to see what old Parker does, man. Livingston. I want to see. Yeah, I like his size. I like. Hopefully, it's not another Jake, but.
And that is one thing. Hopefully, by Friday's episode, we'll have a better list. But one thing that's cool that kind of gets overlooked, and it's kind of a bigger topic this year, I would say they've done it the past couple of years, not necessarily UT, but other schools. If you're an early enrollee, you're allowed to go and practice for bowl games. So you can get 16 practices in. I mean, that's massive, right?
Yeah.
If you're an early enrollee, why not do that? It already came out like today, and we know Parker Livingston's one. He's signed today, even though signing day is not official. They're signing because next week bowl practices start during signing day, so they're there. Clark, running back from Arizona, same thing today. Did his fake signing for next week, but he's joining the team for 16 bowl practices. I mean, not only do they get
that's big.
They get to be with the squad. Like you start getting accustomed to it, but I mean, it's not like it's some just fanky dank bowl. Like you're with the boys who are practicing for a semifinal. Like you're there. So I mean, I think.
And if you win, you get another 4 or 5 practices. Yep, Yep.
So I think that's an awesome thing when it comes to that. But speaking of the transfer portal, man, that Cornhusker must have been making some money this year, boys, because
I don't think it'll matter.
The amount, I don't know if, I mean, it may not
He's
matter.
a great coach. I like Matt Rule. He's a good coach, though. He's going to get something going. But
yeah, I mean, it's going to take some time, but to be able to pull in these dudes are talking about that he may be pulling in pretty soon when it comes to Ohio State's transfer quarterback McCord and flipping the number one quarterback in the nation from Georgia, who was originally committed to Ohio State before that. I mean, that's massive. Plus the receiver from Ohio State, they're saying, Fleming, probably going there as well to join them. And then do y'all remember the name Desmond Damas, wide receiver, that was originally committed to UT, flipped to A&M, super athletic dude. He was like the number one receiver 2 years ago.
I know.
I
No.
don't think so. But
Well,
why? What about him?
he ended up falling out of A&M, right? Supposed to be super talented, just got in tons of trouble, went JUCO, but now they're saying he's probably going up there too. So
What about the Wake Forest kid?
Wake Forest.
Yeah, the receiver. They said something about him too, right?
I didn't see anything on him, but I mean, I saw they're even talking about old Florida running back ETN going up there too.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, which everyone's been saying Georgia for him. Obviously that makes sense. He's a stud. But we'll see. It's like the portal's been hot.
Has he already entered the portal? ETN?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So like the portal's been hot. Like there's been dudes in it, but it's been slow when it comes to dudes committing. I feel like this year there hasn't been that. Like it's just now starting to pick up. Like we talked about last week, those quarterback dominoes are going to start falling. And obviously they're starting to fall. Gabriel going to Oregon. Riley Leonard committed to Notre Dame today. So those are starting to fall. But we're going to see where else. You're in a case if Georgia does lose this quarterback commit, they're going to become on the top of the pecking order for a QB in the portal. I guarantee you that. If Beck decides to enter the portal, or I mean, not the portal, the draft, I mean, that leaves them with almost nobody because
I thought he was just a redshirt sophomore.
Yeah, but he could enter the portal redshirt sophomore.
Georgia's on the downhill. They're on the downfall. Everyone has to have a downfall eventually. It's coming.
They've lost one game, bro.
It's coming. Nope. Okay. And everyone has to go down on a downhill sometime, big boy. You can't be good forever.
I don't think this is that time. I think Georgia's still going to be Georgia for a while.
No, I'm just saying that because they play Texas. We just found that out.
October 19th.
Days after my birthday, actually. So.
October 19th. And people are going to try to say, oh, how Texas is trying to screw in.
Yeah.
Like, it's F1 weekend too, but it's not Texas who makes the schedule. Like, it's the SEC who does that. Yeah. I don't know what you want them to say. It's just how it felt. But as we record this, obviously it's coming out tonight, 7 p.m. But tomorrow, Wednesday, 6 p.m., the official dates for the rest of the SEC schedule comes out, boys, on ESPN. So we'll be tuning into that. We'll talk about that on Friday, kind of how that matchup looks like. Looking forward into the first year of the SEC for Texas and the rest of the SEC schools. But if you follow us on social medias, right here to the left of us, to the right of us, whichever way you're looking, right there where Big Boy's pointing, we posted some question, or not even a question. We just asked y'all to give us some questions or topics you wanted us to discuss, maybe that you were wondering. So we had one from Kim in Houston, and it was talking about the Heisman winner. She's a big LSU fan. She was saying, obviously, Jalen Daniels pulls out the Heisman over the weekend. Really, I mean, everyone knew it was coming. But she wanted our thoughts on that and how LSU has wrapped up 2 quarterback winners in the Heisman in the last 5 years, and how it also is these transfer quarterbacks. I mean, it's always past winners at quarterbacks have entered the portal at least once. Thoughts on that?
I'll answer the first part of that, and I'll let y'all answer the second part. I have nothing against Jaden Daniels. Okay, I think he's a good quarterback, put up great stats, but over the last couple of years, what has the Heisman Trophy become? Like, what do they really, really go off of?
The best player on the good team. And that's what it should be in my eyes. That's why I like why Jalen won. Because to me, he was the best player, not because he was on the best team, but because he showed to be the best player throughout the year.
Exactly. And I feel like there's a bunch of really, really, really good players that have really good stats. And I'm not saying his stats are bad. He has unbelievable stats. LSU doesn't win without him, okay? But, I don't know. I feel like the Heisman Trophy is just an overhyped trophy now. I feel like it doesn't mean what it used to mean. Is that just me, or is that crazy?
I think it's good it went back to he was the best player to me. It's not like because he's on the best team, he won it. He's the best, you know what I mean? Like he's not the best player on the best team. To me, he was the best player in college football. Like Ricky Williams would have never won the Heisman if it was the best player on the best team because Texas wasn't the best team back then. Like what I think they won 9 games that year. So it's they weren't sniffing the national championship. So I like it. I like the call. I think it's been watered down because it has been like even when Johnny Manziel won it, I think they won 10 games that year, and they beat Alabama. But he was by far the best player in college football that
year.
Yeah. Well, and it's even turned into where dudes don't even go to the ceremony because their team played so bad, even though that they had one of the best stat years of any position. So I mean that definitely changed. Should Marvin Harrison Jr. been there? Yes, maybe. Obviously finished 4th, but is he probably one of the most athletic, talented players in the nation? No doubt. But when you look at his stats, they're not.
No.
Right. Especially compared to all the other top receivers. Like he won the nation's best receiver award the other night by 1 vote over the LSU guy. And I mean, the Washington guy. And you look at those 2 dudes' stats next to him, like it's not even close. So that's the thing, too, is if you're going to do it for the winner, I mean, I think you got to do it for all the dudes who are at the ceremony, in my opinion.
He also has the name behind him, and Ohio State.
His dad, come on.
Which, yeah, like
I loved his dad. His dad was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to get drafted before those dudes, right? All this, he's going to get drafted top 5 as long as no crazy trades happen for the QBs up top. But it's just a thing where some of those other dudes who finished in the top 10 should definitely probably have been there instead of him at the end of the day.
But answer that second part of that question. She asked about what? What was the second part of her question?
What our thoughts were on LSU now having 2 Heisman winners in the last 5 years, and
who cares? Sorry, Kim. No, I'm playing. Hey, LSU, man, I thought they were going to be better this year. I mean, they still ended up pretty good, but I thought I had them winning the SEC. So Kelly's a good coach, man, and he's won at every level, and they'll be back. I mean, they're there. They're at that point. They just, I know they were talking when, everyone was talking about Manning was going to leave and all that. And some people were saying go to LSU, but they have a young quarterback there that's ready to go. That everyone on those chats were like, we don't want Manning. We got our quarterback. Like, we're not worried about it. So they'll be back. There'll be something to contend with next year. I mean, LSU they're a powerhouse too. I mean,
yeah. I mean, and when it comes to the transfer portal with the quarterbacks winning, I mean, we talked about it last week. Or I don't know if we talked about it, that was just us texting about it, but all 3 of those quarterbacks who were there at the ceremony, all transfers from a different school. Yeah. Obviously, Jalen Daniels from Arizona State to LSU, and I don't know if y'all saw that video resurface of whenever Daniels was clearing out his locker room and all the Arizona State players were just hating on him, saying, like, we don't want you anyways. And he goes and wins that. But then, obviously, Penix from Indiana to Washington, massive.
Quinn was a transfer, too, for next year. Remember that?
Yep. Man, I mean, next year, who are they already saying the top? Quinn, Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan, yeah. Transfer.
2 transfers.
And is he committed anywhere? Is he going to Oregon?
Yeah, he's going to Oregon. And they're saying the Oregon still may get that Dante Moore kid too. Shoot, that
from UCLA.
Nike, yeah, because they're saying how he's fine, kind of with Sid one year behind the dude. Yeah. So I mean, that Nike money runs deep, man. It runs deep.
It must. Well, after Matt Rule came out and said, quarterbacks can cost you $1.5 million. Some of those quarterbacks were like, what? Like, let me make some phone calls, man.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. There's a ton of them in the portal now, and a ton who still haven't committed. When it comes to Cam Ward from Washington State, still hasn't committed anywhere. They're talking Miami, Florida State for him. Obviously, DJ Uguali from Oregon State nailed that name again.
That was good because I was about to try to say his name, but I was like, I can't.
And he's going on a visit to Florida State as well. So I feel like those are two of the bigger names to pop soon. Will Howard still hasn't popped yet either. I think he's going up to Washington next with USC. So, I mean, there's still some quarterbacks out there, man, that these programs are just skipping over their 5 stars they got and freshmen or redshirt freshmen and saying, sorry about you. And we'll just go with the proven transfer quarterback.
Yeah.
But another question we did have came from Kobe, our own Kobe. And he wanted to wonder why he's not on these Tuesdays on the edge. And I told him
we don't need Hawkeyes and Texans.
We don't have enough time.
Yeah. Why aren't the Hawkeyes getting one of these quarterbacks?
No kidding. It's because no one wants to go to that offense. We'll make sure and ask him that on Friday, though.
Yeah.
But his other question was, is Ryan gonna die?
Here we go.
Is Ryan gonna die from happiness if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl?
Oh, I told you, if what happens, what I told you in that text, the Longhorns win the national championship and the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, the world will end. It'll be one of those atom bombs, kills everybody. That's it. I'm good. Like, it's whatever. I'm done.
And Big Boy would be satisfied with his life.
I'd be good. Whatever. Let's figure out the next step. If we live, we got to live. Like they did in Mad Max. I'm good with that. You know what I mean? We'll make that transition.
No doubt. Hey, if that happens, it's the state of Texas will run the sports world.
You got the Rangers, Cowboys, and the Longhorns.
And leading into 2024, I mean, the Mavs are going to be in the playoffs, making
Mavs,
a run.
Oh, imagine that'd be crazy.
The Stars, top of the league again for NHL, trying to go win one finally. So big for the state of Texas there. But going back to the NFL, it was a packed weekend of games. Obviously, 2 games yesterday on Monday. A lot of kind of big upsets, you could say, going into this weekend. Playoffs getting closer. Fantasy playoffs are here this week for most. Some started last week, but Big Boy's got his on the edge, as we like to call it here on the Tuesday on the edge. Who you got?
Well, my number 2 team, the Dolphins. I still got them in my back pocket. But the Dolphins, they're interesting because the teams that they beat haven't been the best, and they're about to come into their grind of the schedule, kind of like the Cowboys. They got the Jets, which, hey, the Jets showed out last week, and they're a little hot. Their defense is good. Then they got the Cowboys, but it's at Miami. Then they got the Ravens, which they're rolling. And then they got the Bills at Miami. So they're also, I mean, they're going to have to prove that they are, one of those teams. And if they don't have Hill and he's not healthy, if that ankle's messed up, or, you could see the difference when he was out. That offense runs through him.
Oh,
all the motions, all the things. It's all, let's key on him and we can get it here, or we're going to go to him. And
what's the deal with freaking A-Chain, bro? Like, I feel like he hasn't been doing as good.
Well, he got hurt earlier in the year, too. Yeah.
Been hurt
but ever since he got hurt, I feel like he's had one good game since he's got hurt.
Well,
banged up at this point.
They still got Mostert, too, and Mostert's a dog.
Yeah. And Mostert did good. I mean, they gave up a 14-point lead with 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
I saw a thing that hadn't. Yeah, what hadn't happened since 1976.
Yeah, it was a long
time
ago.
It was crazy.
But I mean, that kind of you mentioned about Tyreek Hill, how the offense is way different. I mean, obviously the MVP award for the NFL is just turned into this QB award, but I mean
Bro.
should show you right there. I mean, Tyreek Hill's putting up numbers, probably going to be the first receiver to have over 2,000 yards, more than likely.
No, listen, he's on track for 2,100, bro. Not just 2,000. He's on track for another 100.
As long as he don't do it against the Cowboys. We need him to have an off game against the Cowboys. And CD's up there too. Don't get it wrong. CD's in the top 3 or 4 of.
Yeah.
He was before last week. He was number 2.
I think
he's yards.
I think he's 3 now. I think it goes Tyreek, AJ Brown, and then CD.
Well, Allen was also from the Chargers. I think he was second.
Yeah.
Or third last week.
Chargers already sucked. Justin Herbert out for the season. They're definitely done now.
He broke both fingers, didn't he? He broke 2 fingers.
That was my quarterback. I finished first in the regular season, going first week of playoffs this week, and now I'm without a quarterback. It's a 1 seed, boys. It's not great. We're gonna have to be a real GM this week.
So bad.
Oh.
They got to fire him. That's where Belichick needs to go. They got a defense in place.
Like, how you have freaking Herbert, Eckler, Keenan Allen? How's that offense bad?
And Eckler's been shit this year too. But you mentioned Bill Belichick. It just came out about 10 minutes ago as we were recording this that Patriots owner Robert Kraft has already decided to move on from Bill Belichick at the end of the season after their Week 10 loss to the Colts. Says when they came out of that loss in Germany, the conversations had been made, and it was very clear that the decision was already made. So,
hey, sometimes it's kind of like, you remember when Longhorns fired Mac Brown? Everybody was like, "Yeah, get rid of Mac. He sucks." Look what happened for the next 10 years. Seriously.
Yeah, I mean, if Bill goes to the Chargers and gets rid of Kellen Moore, because obviously he sucks now. All the Cowboys fans are glad he's gone, that's for sure. Now the Chargers got stuck with him. But we'll see. We'll see when it comes to that. But another guy who's officially on the edge and maybe for the rest of his career, and Big Boy's been telling us about it the last couple of weeks, and that's Josh Dobbs. Got the bench today, boys. Got the bench for the Vikings.
It was a great story for 2-3 weeks. It was great. I love it. He's a dog. He came in there and we didn't even know the lineman's name and he won a game. Hey, that's all. He can always have that. That's awesome. But again, there's a reason he's been traded 10 times in about 3 years. Yeah. That's it. But hey, man, good for him. He's getting checks. He did more than 99% of quarterbacks. So he got to play, he got to start, but that's it. Let's calm down with that now.
Yep. Well, before we wrap up this Tuesdays on the Edge, one more. Are the Lions back to the old Lions, boys, after that bad loss?
I don't know, man. I just hope the Cowboys beat them and when they play them, but it's not looking good. It's not.
I don't think you can say all the way back to the old Lions.
No, they're
That's pretty extreme. That's that's pushing it a little bit because you still got guys like Amon Ra and Laporta and guys like that can ball. So, I want to say back to the old Lions. I think they're going to start struggling a little bit more, but.
So they got the Broncos at the Lions though, so that's gonna be a game. Russ is, he's cooking a little. Then they got the Vikings. They should win that game.
Yeah.
And then they got the Cowboys. Then they got the Vikings again. So they got one at home, one at Minnesota.
They should win at least 2 out of the 4.
Yeah.
Should.
You hope so.
For their sake. Yeah,
they've been so hit or miss this year, man.
Yeah.
Bad. Been real hit or miss.
But I love Dan Campbell, even though he's an Aggie. But I root for the Lions. I mean,
oh yeah.
Every year I would bet with Popo that the Lions were going to go over. for literally 8 years straight, and they never did. And I said, I can't do it anymore. I thought Calvin Johnson, was and Matt Stafford. They're going to the Super Bowl this year. I feel for them because, hopefully they make the playoffs. I'd love to see them win a game, in the playoffs, unless it's against Cowboys. But I don't think this is their year.
Yeah.
No doubt. Well, with that being said, it's a packed NFL weekend. 3 games on Saturday, boys. It's like some college football is back almost. But 3 NFL games Saturday, bowl games soon to come as well. But make sure you tune in to this Friday's episode on the Sports Roundtable Trio Edition at noon Central for all the latest rundown of this weekend's games and if anything else decides the pot from now and then. But that brings us to the end of Tuesday's On the Edge adventure. Make sure and follow all the socials, right to Big Boys Right, your left. Follow them. Give us the likes. Give us some comments. We're going to be posting every week now for your questions that you want answered from the trio ourselves. But we hope you enjoyed the ride as much as we did. Remember to like and subscribe this video. And what else do they got to do?
Ring that bell. I want to say one thing too. I want to thank Kim for her questions, and let's get some comments on there. Let us know what y'all like, what y'all don't like. Give us some feedback on there when you can, and like and subscribe, and tell your friends, your mama, your grandmama. All she has to do is subscribe. She don't have to listen. Just subscribe for her.
Yep. And if you're listening on Spotify, we appreciate it. We understand if you don't want to look at Coop's face 24/7. But
come on now.
Until next time, stay curious, stay on the edge, and have a fantastic rest of the week. And we'll see you Friday at noon for the Sports Roundtable Trio Edition show. Peace.